after cleaning, this is the result.
A lot better.
Everything brand new again and ready to fit.
Great. So we're going to start rebuilding.
It's the fun part.
It's just feather light compared to what it was before. You just have a completely different bike. And if you have a sports bike, if you have a touring bike, if you have an enduro bike, if you have a dual sports bike, if you have a street bike, if you have a custom bike, it doesn't matter. That suspension is so important.
Hey guys, welcome back to another Chief Pep video. So this is part 2 of my front suspension rebuild. As you might know, if you have seen part 1, this program is sponsored by HK Suspension. I went to HK because they helped me to redo my front suspension, and we're gonna see the rear suspension as well. That's gonna be in the next part. And they're gonna add in some Wilbers suspension. So I'm really grateful for those guys. So in the last part, we saw that we demontaged everything from my bike. And we cleaned everything, and now we're gonna put those clean parts and those new parts in. So this is an important video if you want to do the rebuild yourself, for instance. We're gonna also show you which package you can expect if you're gonna order the front suspension with the special code that I give you in the description below. Just add Chief Pep because you get a special discount. Now, the Nivomat rear suspension will be in the next part, but first, let's see the front suspension rebuild.
Let me show you the special parts we are going to replace.
Yeah.
Here are the standard guiding bushes. You see it's really worn out.
Yeah. Wow. How come that it's worn out? Maybe.
The mileage.
Yeah, but also maybe if the oil was refreshed every once in a while.
Yeah, if you do refresh the oil every 2, maximum 3 years,
yeah,
the oil keeps clean,
yeah,
and all the aluminum parts in it won't affect the Teflon on the bushing.
Yeah.
The Teflon layer is really soft, so it is. If there is any aluminum parts or metal parts in it, they will enter into the Teflon part and they will scratch it also.
Yeah.
We do replace it with an original Honda,
yeah,
part number. So if you would like to take the part number and buy it, it is also possible.
That's a good one. Yes, thank you.
And I can show you the difference in guiding bushes.
Wow.
Old and the new one.
So in 2006 it looked like that.
And in 2021 it looks like this.
Yeah.
The same for the other one with the Teflon inside. This is the old one.
Yeah.
You see already some spots in there,
Yeah.
some metal spots. And this is the new one. Also with the new coating on it, and it's really smooth.
Yeah. Okay, great. So we're gonna replace them.
Yeah, so the friction will be less on the new forks, and also the seals. You have here the front fork oil seal. You see,
Wow. Yeah.
it's really black. It's almost liquid aluminum,
Yeah.
and it
That
has
really damages your fork and inner parts, I can imagine.
yeah, especially the chrome on your inner tube.
Yeah.
That scratches, and this is the dust seal. It's also a very important seal,
Yeah.
to keep the big dust particles and sand out of the front fork.
Yeah.
And you see it's here really worn out.
Wow.
It has completely dried, and
Yeah.
all the
And this is probably the one fork that wasn't replaced, because we saw the clearer oil in the
Yeah.
other one, and that was replaced probably.
both are the same.
Yeah.
And this is really from aging.
Yeah.
The rubber gets hard and breaks.
Yeah. So if you change your oil or any other parts, always also replace the seals.
Yes, we do that with SKF high performance seals.
Okay.
It's really a good kit.
Okay.
You will get a new front fork seal,
Yeah.
high performance, low in friction, and a new dust seal.
Wow, great. Nice. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Let's keep on moving.
Okay.
Can see here some rust, and the previous owner has tried to smooth it out with some Scotch-Brite or anything, but we are going to polish the inner tubes, and it's not a big problem because it will not affect the oil seal.
Okay.
Because if you got maximum stroke,
Yeah.
it's still above the oil seal.
Ah, okay. So this is also something that's important to do.
Polishing the inner tubes,
Yeah?
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
If you have a little bit damage or like this, some rust, it can almost immediately break or damage the new oil seal.
Yeah.
So then it's a waste of your time.
Yeah. Great. Okay.
You can see some length markings.
Yeah.
These become in the inner tube due to debris that's inside the coating of the inner bush.
Yeah.
Inner bushing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
The one you saw with the coating on the outside, that clamps on here.
Yeah.
That goes through the
Yeah.
outer tube.
Yeah.
But the other one,
Yeah.
the
With
smaller
the coating
one,
inside. Yeah.
with coating on the inside,
Yeah.
clamps into the outer tube
Yeah.
and prevent the inner tube from scratching.
Yeah.
But that's only if you have a clear, good coating on the inside of the bushing.
Yeah.
Here you can see there's some debris in that coating,
Yeah.
and that's going to scratch
Yeah.
on the inner tube.
Yeah. Okay.
Here are the cartridges from inside the front fork. This is the damping unit which provides the compression and rebound damping. It is located inside the front fork and goes in and goes out. Oil is inside this tube. I have it here as a part, and this is the spindle with the rebound piston on it, and that one goes into the tube and out of the tube. On this piston there are some shims, as you can see, and when the oil flows through the piston, the shims will open and they will give the correct damping which is needed.
And that's the shims that we find here in your
Yeah,
case, right?
in the cabinet.
Yeah, in the cabinet,
Yes.
yeah.
So when we pull out the cartridge, you can see it is already cleaned,
Yeah.
and still it's really very dirty.
Yeah.
So we have to open it. You can push this piece in. You can take the spring ring out. Then you can push it out, and there it is. And then you can see all the dirt and the really filthy oil is all still inside. So if you change only the front fork oil,
Yeah.
it's not enough.
No, you have to take these apart and clean them as well.
Yeah. Especially when you see this, here is where all the dirt is scented, and this is really aluminum.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You want to get that out.
Absolutely. And then it's clean like this one.
Yeah. Right, thanks.
After cleaning, this is the result.
A lot better.
Everything brand new again and ready to fit.
Great. So we're going to start rebuilding.
It's the fun part.
This is the Wilbers Zero Friction front fork oil. You see it's much clearer and cleaner than the old oil. And we put this in. When you order the front fork springs, you will get the correct front fork oil thickness and weight with the package inside. Okay. I will show you later on how it's delivered to your home.
Yeah, okay. And what's the difference between this type of oil and other fork oil that you can order in the store? Very important, I guess, together with the springs.
The front fork oil is really important for the behavior of the bike. Yeah, how the damping is. How the friction is inside the front fork, and it must be running smoothly. As you can see, it runs really smoothly now. And that is because of the guiding bushes and the seals, and also the oil is depending on how much friction you have.
What do you advise for like these type of touring bikes with these this spring?
Every bike has its own damping and its own oil.
So it's hard to say there is no like average or...
No, there's certainly not an average. We do, it's always custom built and custom made. It is really depending on the front fork which you have, on the weight of the bike and how much damping you must have.
Yeah, but if I order this kind of, if I order the springs at your site, at HK Suspension, I always, how do you know what kind of oil you have to send with it?
We have a complete list. Our catalog is filled with about 1800 different kinds of springs, and they all come with a different setup, a different oil and a different air chamber.
So I always receive the right oil for my bike?
Yes,
okay.
That's correct.
Great, thanks. So how much are you going to fill the fork?
We're gonna fill the fork with a little bit too much oil.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna bleed the fork and the cartridge.
Yeah.
And then we will set the air gap.
Okay. So you're taking out the bubbles now?
Yep. Taking out the air out of the cartridge.
You can see it probably. Or is it just
well
a feeling?
You feel it and you see it. Yeah. Yep. And we're gonna take the air out between the inner tube and the outer tube.
This is a very important job, right?
It is, because we use an air gap, and if you don't bleed the fork really good, the air gap becomes bigger when you ride.
Yeah.
The oil 5 is a very thin oil, so it doesn't take a long time. If you do it by yourself with a thicker oil, I suggest you take longer for this.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
the air has more difficulty coming out of the oil.
I get it.
I'm gonna set the air gap on 120 millimeters.
And normally you would do this with at home with a ruler or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Anything you have on hand.
To measure it.
Yeah. We have a special tool for it, but you can also use something like this.
Yeah.
And set your measurement with the O-ring.
Yeah. So you did the measurement without the spring inside?
We set the air gap without the fork spring. Yes.
And the fork fully compressed.
Okay. And then it's done.
Almost done.
Oh.
Almost done. Almost forgot the best part.
Which is?
Sticker.
And the finishing touch.
Great.
Ready to go. Now this is the complete set of the Wilbers zero friction front fork springs with the oil you will need. Also the assembly instructions are inside. You have the complete package for about 200 euros. And don't forget to set your Chief Pep discount code on the order, so you will get a nice surprise from us. To center the front axle and to get all the tension out when mounting the front fork and wheel, we have the sliding side of the wheel axle still loose, these bolts. Then we compress the motor firmly a few times, then the wheel and the axle can center everything, and it is free of slack. After that, don't forget to tighten the bolts again.
Yeah.
For a safe drive. We finished the motorcycle. The front suspension has been changed, completely rebuilt, new seals, new guiding bushes, and if you see now, it is really working fantastically. It is really harsh on braking and soft on small bumps. Now we have to set the complete balance of the motorcycle. We do that by sitting in the middle of the motorcycle and press it, and you see the rear is really soft. That is the biggest problem on this motorcycle. For now we can change the preload, spring preload in the rear by turning this knob in for a less static sag of the motorcycle. On the other side, when we go over there, you can go with a flat screwdriver into this hole, on the shock there is a turning knob for the rebound damping. When you close the rebound damping, it goes in and goes slowly out. If you open the rebound damping, it goes in and it goes quickly out. This is the adjustment for your comfort. With that, I will end this story, and for the next time we will tell you a lot more about setting up your suspension. See you then.
So I'm gonna take these, for me, really known roads so that I know the difference between before and after. And what I immediately can feel already on these crests, these bumps, is that the whole bike acts different than I'm used to. So the first thing that I already feel is as if the bike is way lighter than before. Obviously this ST1300 is a really heavy bike. We all know that. You can imagine that it is a heavy bike. But it feels so much lighter with the new front suspension, and of course it's much stiffer. So because the front suspension is stiffer, it feels stiffer, the bike feels lighter. And Another thing is that what you really can feel, which changed, is the braking. So if I brake hard, the bike stops so much faster, and this is also something that I immediately feel. And also the bike wants to fall into that corner right away, and before I really had to work on the bike. And that's the big difference that you notice immediately, even with these slow tempos. That's something that I can feel instantly. So now I'm going to these few corners, just a few corners that I know really well, where I can try to talk you through the difference. This corner, and look at this, it's just the bike falls into that corner immediately. And here, braking and cornering, it's just feather light compared to what it was before. Of course, it's not a sports bike, but it feels so light compared to the previous suspension. You just have a completely different bike. And if you have a sports bike, if you have a touring bike, if you have an enduro bike, if you have a dual sports bike, if you have a street bike, if you have a custom bike, it doesn't matter. That suspension is so important. That's something that I really know now, because I know that, of course, I used to ride all these different kind of bikes, but if you have a bike which you really know, and you swap your suspension, or you even do your oil and everything, if you do this with your bike, then you feel the difference, because you know your bike. Everybody that's watching this probably knows his or her bike exactly. But if you change that suspension, you just get a new bike back. And that's something that's really interesting and really great to feel. And you feel so much more confident when you have your suspension prep like this. Yeah, it's a difference between day and night. This is also something nice, is if you just brake here, wanna brake and then go in the corner, that's the nice thing. And also braking in corners is so much better to do here. A bump, I can't wait to have that rear suspension done as well, because then the bike is way more balanced. I take this fast corner here, it's just so fast. You just feel the difference, which is so great. Braking here, it doesn't dive at all. Braking here, cornering, it's just as if you have a sports bike all of a sudden. And now I can imagine that people call this a sports touring bike, but only if you have the right suspension in. I'm so happy with the guys from HK, how they did that job. That was unbelievable. It's so professional. If you see all those things, of course I can do all these things myself normally, but if you see all the details, how they work, the special tools that they have, checking if everything is still okay, I can imagine that if you do it yourself, you might doubt, but now you have the video, maybe that helps. What you should check for wear, etc. And if you just take your time, you can do it yourself as well. If you just order those springs and that oil, it doesn't matter what kind of bike you have, you could do it yourself.
So as you can see, I am so happy with this new front suspension. I can't wait to do the rear suspension, which will be this Wilbers Nivelmat rear suspension. We have to order that, it still has to come in, so it's gonna take a little while before you will see part 3 and maybe part 4. I don't know how fast I can edit that, but there will be a next part with the rear suspension, and this is really important for all of you guys that also want to redo the rear suspension, because that's a really important part for especially the ST1300, but also for all these other touring bikes or sport bikes or whatever bike you are riding. I'm gonna tell you what the difference will be, how I experience those new suspension. So I thank you so much for watching this series. If you like this video, please put the thumbs up, subscribe if you want to get notified with the notification bell, and do all the great stuff for so that you know when I upload my new video. I thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!